Hi everyone, I'm Anna Finch from Finch Press, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is part one of a series that I'm pre-recording. This was intended to come out earlier or last week, but issues with the software I was using delayed that. So this particular video is about planning, writing and drafting, specifically my process and what I learnt when I was doing my children's picture book, Hide and Seek Alphabet, as well as the picture book that will be coming out in March, which I'll just refer to as Melly the Mermaid. So, my picture book came out on the 21st of October. It is currently available on pretty much all major retailers. Anyway, let's get started. So, one of the things I'm going to talk about is about writing down your ideas. Now, this may not work for you. It may not work for every book. It really depends on the type of book you want to do. Because with Melly the Mermaid and Hide and Seek Alphabet, I actually wrote them in the opposite order. So I actually wrote Melly the Mermaid first. But I published Hide and Seek Alphabet first. So I did it the other way around. Mainly because of the type of picture book that I was creating. So I didn't do this with Melly the Mermaid. With Melly the Mermaid, I couldn't fall asleep. So I just grabbed a notebook. I just started writing. I just started to try and write. All right, I'll just try and write a kid's book. And I ended up writing 6 pages before I finally finished it. So I wrote it by hand. And then I typed it up and edited it. But with the Hide and Seek Alphabet book, that one was different. My process for that was different because I was trying to come up with some ideas. So one of the things that helped is I had a look at some of the different types of books available for young children. So things like activity books, puzzle books, handwriting, tracing books, colouring in books, alphabet books, right? I had a look at the different types of books. And I went, okay, I definitely don't want to do that type of book, but I'm interested in doing this other one. So having a look on Amazon or even in your local library for some of the types of books available for young kids other than picture books, you can try and get an idea of what you might like to do and what you don't want to do. You can also have a look at the types of categories. Now, it's up to you how you go about that. You can have a look on Amazon and go for the categories that have the highest return, or you can go with what interests you. So things like you can go look at, you might write a book using animals, or you might write a concept book. Concept books are for young readers. So these are for preschoolers, so 3 to 4, 5 max. It is literally all about learning a concept, the weather, the alphabet, numbers, seasons, months, right? It's about learning a particular concept. It's the goal of that type of book is to teach something. An alphabet book is a concept book. You can do a self-esteem book, whether it's non-fiction or fiction, for young readers. You can do a rhyming book. You can do one about dinosaurs. I put animals twice, whoops, and mermaids. Write down whatever categories and whatever types of books you might be interested in doing. That might help help you develop some ideas. You also need to work out who the book is for, regardless of whether you're doing a picture book or a novel. Is it for babies, so 0 to 3-year-olds, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, so on and so forth? You need to know what age range. The reason for that is the word limits, the content used in the books, the language used, the length, all that is affected by age. because a 0 to 3-year-old, a baby is not going to understand a complex novel, right? They may not understand a difficult nursery rhyme. They may recognize sounds, colors, and things like that. But books for 0 to 3-year-olds are much more simplistic. They have a very, very limited word count because it is the adult reading to the child. And it is very, very basic. Usually the storyline, if there is a storyline, it's mainly pictures versus instead of words. There's more pictures than words in the actual books for 0 to 3-year-olds. Reading level, you need to know what reading level. So early readers would be about 3 to 4. You got preschool, kindergarten, which is about 4 to 5. Prep, which is about, it depends. So prep is just after kindergarten. It's a level here in Australia. It's the first year of primary school to prepare them for grade 1. So it's an extension really of kinder. The kids can range anywhere between 4 and 6 in prep. It depends on their age, the year they were born in, or part of the year they were born in, and the parents as well, whether they were delayed in kinder or something. So reading level, okay, is something important. An early reader would use very simple language, same with preschool prep, right? You would use very simple language, simple sentences. You may have some compound sentences, but they're fairly simple to read, the sentences. You need to make sure what you're writing is actually appropriate for the age and the reading level. This is not just language, it is the content, the concepts, the themes, the messages in the text have to be appropriate for a child in the age range you've picked. Know your limits. I didn't when I wrote Melly the Mermaid. Didn't know I knew the word limits when I did the hide and seek alphabet because I'd already edited Melly the Mermaid 3 times before by that point. My editor for Melly the Mermaid told me that for picture books for ages 3 to 5, which is the one I was writing in, will generally have about 500 words, no more than 500. Those picture books for older readers, like say 6 to 8, might have about 800, no more than 1,000. So a children's picture book will generally, or a book for children, will generally not have more than 1,000 words. The reason being that they may have a short attention span. It needs to be simple, and they need to be able to get through it within a short span of time. Problem is, if you go too long, the children's book, the child may go, I'm bored, I want to go play something else or do something else. So you do need to know what the word limit is. I didn't know it when I wrote Melly the Mermaid. I wrote 6 pages worth of writing. I cut like 3/4 of it. So I'm now within the 500 word range, maybe a bit lower. But yeah, know what the word limits are for the range or for the age range you're doing, because the word limits will differ depending on age. So a chapter book, which is really a fairly short, simplistic story for young children, generally between 6 and 8. They'd hit chapter books as they go up in age. The chapter books get longer when then you get novellas, but they're fairly short reads, easy reads, with the chapters a bit more complex plot than a children's picture book. They may have some illustrations, but not many. But yeah, it depends on the age. You wouldn't give a 7-year-old a 600-page novel, or you wouldn't give them Lord of the Rings by Tolkien, because the length is much higher than what they're used to. And also, it will be very difficult for a child that age to basically read and consistently get through everything in a book that size. Before starting your first draft, you need to work out whether or not you're starting with your plot, a character, a theme. What my editor told me is that young readers generally prefer action, or that the key focus of the story is introduced quickly and you follow with the character through the journey. You should have an idea of tense and point of view. Now, with Melly the Mermaid, I actually initially wrote it as past tense, but I tense switch occasionally. So sometimes I'll have sections in present, some in past, somewhere I have no clue what I'm writing. But I've gotten better at that. I'm aware of it. I'm working on it, but it's an issue, tense switching, because when I speak, I tense switch. I don't know. I just do. Now, my developmental editor, actually read through Melly the Mermaid and was like, this would be much better in present tense because it is more immediate. Something is happening directly, or the character is actively doing something, which is more interesting, more in the moment for younger readers. Going with that feedback, I made sure that Hide and Seek Alphabet was in present tense. Point of view, so first or third person. So first person is I, me, my. The character is directly talking to the audience. Third person, it might be where they use a character's name. They use he, she, they, them, those sort of things to let you know who's talking and what's happening. From what I looked at when I went to the library, most children's books were in third person. Generally speaking, there are some that are in first person, but most of the ones I saw at my local library were third person. Now, this may differ between countries because we have more Australian books in our libraries because we are in Australia. It may be different if you live in the US or Canada. So go to your local library, go to your local bookstore, go to the children's section, have a look at the point of view style that's being used more consistently, and whether or not past or present tense is being used for the type of book you want to write, so that you're not completely out there when it comes to the genre. Another thing you might like to have an idea of is your style. Now, if you've written other stuff before, you have an idea of whether or not you like to rhyme or not, or if you like to use other narrative techniques like alliteration, similes, onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia, for those of you who don't know, is basically using a word to replace a sound. For example, bang, smash. If they're not actual sounds that you hear, but it's translated into that word. That's basically what it is. Now, I wrote poetry a lot before I did any novels or anything else. So I'm used to rhyming. I didn't notice until someone pointed out, but in Voiceless, I would write lines, do entire paragraphs, which have some sort of rhyme or rhythm that you can tell from the pacing of the words and stuff, and I didn't notice it until it was pointed out to me. So you might prefer to do rhyming, you might prefer to not touch rhyme with a 10-foot pole. It's up to you, your style. But have a look with the type of book you want to write. Have a look if rhyme is even necessary. Now, if you're doing a nursery rhyme picture book, then yeah, rhyme is necessary. But most picture books that I saw in the library near me, they didn't rhyme. There was no rhyme. So it's not necessary. But you need to work out whether or not you want to. Or you might work that out while you're writing. You find I'm automatically rhyming stuff or I'm writing it in a way that doesn't rhyme, you can always change it later. You don't even need to have this written down. It might just be in your head. You're like, alright, I want to do first person. You might find while you're writing, yeah, I want to do first person, third person, or that I want to rhyme. You might not necessarily plan it out. I didn't with Melody the Mermaid. With Hide and Seek Alphabet, I did to a certain extent, but it's up to you in your process. It's just what worked for me, at least with Hide and Seek Alphabet. Once you've got an idea of what you want to write, start writing it. Don't worry about making the rhyme or the rhythm of the writing perfect. If you're doing a rhyming story, or if you want a specific rhythm to the way your story flows, don't get so obsessed with getting that rhyme perfect that you don't finish a story. Write whatever comes to mind. If it doesn't rhyme, that's fine. Go to the next line and the next line. Get yourself through it. Just write what you want to tell. Write the actual story. Forget about the rhyme. Worry about doing that later. You can always edit. It doesn't need to be perfect. Like with Melly the Mermaid, there was a couplet. I thought the two words rhymed. To me, visually, it looked like it rhymed. Even when I say it, those words at the end of those two lines, or couplet at the end of each line in the couplet, it sounds like it rhymes. My editors, like, pointed out, they don't. It's an awkward rhyme. It doesn't actually rhyme because of the syllables. So the syllables that are stressed in each of those words are different. So it doesn't technically rhyme. So goes and echoes doesn't actually rhyme, at least according to my editor. I spent, I'm not joking, hours trying to work out what I can change either goes or echoes to make it rhyme. Because my editor pointed out the sound that is stressed in goes is the O's sound. The syllable stressed in echoes is the sound. I'm like, how am I supposed to? What can I do to rhyme? How am I supposed to tell the same story? I couldn't think of anything, so I actually put a message on the Melbourne Nano community, and basically asked, these are the lines. My editor said this. Does anyone have any suggestions about changing the rhyme, or can I just leave it as is? They said leave it as is. When it's being read out loud, because it is for young kids, it sounds similar enough that it appears to rhyme, so it's not needed. So, but I wasted hours just hyper focused on those lines in the couplet, and I didn't get past it until I got feedback to say, forget about those lines. Just if that's the only way that gets your point across, just leave it as is. Yeah. So whether you're rhyming or not, if you just say all the story you want to tell, and you can edit it later. Well, that's pretty much it for this video. So my new release is out on all major retailers from $3.99 in ebook. It is also available in paperback and hardback. All right. See you guys next time.